1200 off an old dirt road, and the country boy is all I'll ever be.
What's happening, fellas? This is Daniel with Family Diving Country. Back for another video here real quick. I haven't had time to finish up a couple things that I've got going on video wise, but I was getting ready to sharpen a couple knives here, or hone in a couple knives here, and I figured why not do a quick video on it, just to show how I do it. Now, I do want to mention first off that it seems, especially with knife sharpening, that everybody has their own way of doing it. You know, if your dad taught you how to do it, or your grandpa, or you picked it up somewhere, there's a million different ways to do it. There's a million ways to skin a cat. You know, I'm not telling you this is the best way to do it. I'm not even telling you this is the right way to do it. I'm just telling you this is how I do it. Stalingrad, Germany. This is a very old knife. I couldn't tell you exactly where it came from. I couldn't tell you how old it is. I guarantee it's over 100 years old. Antler handles or bone handles there. Pretty nice little knife. And it's fairly sharp. And then I'm also going to sharpen my Ruco, my everyday carry, or one of my everyday carry folding pocket knives. I'm going to go ahead and hone that in. I've been using it quite a bit lately, so it's due for a sharpening. So stay with me. Again, I'll show you how I do it. I'm not saying this is the only way that it can be done. Alright guys, so the way I do it is, depending on how bad the knife is, if it's still fairly sharp and, you know, it's not too far gone, I'll just take a diamond rod and I'll touch it back up with that, and that'll usually do the trick. Something like this here that hasn't been sharpened in a while, this is a very old knife. I don't really use it a whole lot. I need to make a sheath for it, or I need to find a sheath or have somebody make me a sheath for it. But what I have here is, this is just a 2 grit stone, and you can see this one's been through it. I showed this in another video, but it's got a little rougher grit here, and it's got a real fine grit on this side. Is I'll go ahead and take my stone, whatever stone I'm going to use, and I do have several different ones. This one just happens to be my favorite. And you can feel it when you do it, but you just want to take your knife, find the edge, and you can do that just by flexing your knife up and down until you feel where it just naturally wants to lay, I guess is the only way I can explain it. And then just bring it towards you, keeping it on that edge the whole time. Alright, so we did 10 on our first side. So now all you do is simply take the knife, flip it over, find your edge again, you can feel it, and just bring it back that other way. And you don't have to put a ton of pressure down. Or let me repeat that. I don't put a ton of pressure down. Enough to make it feel like it's grabbing, but not enough to cut into your stone or anything like that. This one is not too sharp yet. We are going to keep going on the coarse side a little bit more. Once we get done on the coarse side, we'll flip it over to the fine side. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and flip over to our finer grit on our stone here. And it's the same thing. Just find your edge. Run it all along that edge. And you know, one thing that I was always told and taught is, if you're going to sharpen your knife and you're going to do it right, when you're using just a stone in your hand, you've really got to take your time with it. If you're in a hurry, or you got shit to do, it's probably not the best time to sharpen your knife if you really want it to turn out the right way, in my opinion. I'm sure there's people that can do it in 5 minutes and not have any issue with it, but I'll sit here and just enjoy it and sharpen and test it on a piece of paper. And I'll go ahead and wipe her off real quick. Now I can already feel the difference there. We'll keep moving along here. I'm probably done with the stone at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off. The next thing that I use when I'm doing it, and this is just me, is I've got this Smith's sharpener with a fine and coarse. Pretty simple, dummy proof style sharpener. What I'll do is I usually like to set this down on something when I'm doing it, and you can see it's marked, hopefully the camera's picking that up, fine and coarse. And I'll just set it down, and I'll just take and get my blade nested in there where it's flush, and just pull it back straight putting down a little bit of pressure on it, not a crazy amount of pressure. Okay, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the fine side here. And on this one, you can feel it. If you have any little burrs on the blade, you can feel it catching in here. The last step that I take with my knives is I'll grab a diamond rod, and this is just a cheap, I think this is a Gerber actually, is when I start, I'll take and I'll find my edge and just pivot it on there till you find your edge, and then I run in a circular motion, and I'll do that a couple times on each side. And she's getting sharp now. I'll do that a couple times on each side until I like it. And then the very last thing I do is I go ahead and strope it, depending on the blade. I don't do it on every knife I have, but I will strope sometimes on leather. You can also use your the top of your window on your car, roll down your window a little bit and strope it on that a little bit. That will help, just to really take off all the micro burrs on there. And how big of a difference it makes, I don't know. That's how I was taught to do it. So we'll get this one finished, and then I am going to go ahead and do my Ruco folder here. Well, thanks for joining me today, guys. I just wanted to do something real quick. I've been working on a couple different videos and I haven't been able to get a whole lot out, so if that helps somebody just getting into knife sharpening, or maybe it's a different technique from what you've used, hopefully somebody can get something out of it. I don't have the top of the line gear or anything like that out right now, but it does work. These knives are razor sharp, there's no doubt about that. This is a technique that I will go ahead and pass down to my son, you know, and it, like I said, it might not be the right way, it might not be the best way, but it works and it's our way, you know, and I think everybody should embrace that. Again, I really appreciate everybody who watched this today. If you want to leave some feedback for me, tips or tricks or ideas or anything you have to say, good, bad, and indifferent, I appreciate it. And I hope you join us for the next video. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.